Hello Aquarius and welcome to your in-depth monthly forecast for June 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then explore in much greater detail all the key influences that are particularly relevant to your sign. And I have to tell you, with Venus moving into the sector of relating for Aquarian, and this will go on in an unprecedented way right through to the 9th of October, this provides a huge celestial window of opportunity around all sorts of connections with others. And I don't just mean romantic, it could be in terms of friendship, it could be in terms of collaborating on projects with people, it could be professionally, or it could be in terms of even family ties. And one of the reasons why this is so potent is because Venus usually takes 28 days to go through each sign. It's going to be in this location for 4 months. And the 7th house can be very influential in forging very harmonious ties. So really exciting. There's so much more to tell you about other than that. And of course, I'm going to tell you all the ins and outs affecting your two ruling planets, traditional of Saturn and modern of Uranus. If you're a returning visitor, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, it's great to have you with me. This is very much a community, so please do feel that you can share any comments. I try to interact with each one, but please also click on or tap on the subscribe button. This means every time I drop a video, you'll get an alert. Also, if you would like to get your free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, totally free, you can sign up for your Sun or your Ascendant or both. The choice is yours. Please see the link below. And if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast and really embrace more serious astrology and the power of it and how it can influence your future so helpfully, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can provide for you your life roadmap report. This can help you to get a much more intimate understanding of the patterns that have impacted on your journey so far, but also how you can capitalize on your strength and avoid some of the challenges that may have repeated themselves. Also, my special package of 30% off, you can get your 12-month personal forecast, totally unique to you, which will give you searing insights for the months to come. If you don't know your time, my new solar package works in the same way, 30% off, the life roadmap and the forecast, but this is based on your sun. And if you enjoy sun sign astrology videos on YouTube, this is going to be something that you easily relate to, but can still give you some incredibly valuable insights. Please see the links below for more. So Aquarius, as you burst into June, it is with the Sun in the beautiful 5th house. This is a very sunny area for the Sun to be hosted, and it's going to be joined by Mercury on the 11th. And this gives you an opportunity to really set your intentions around the things that would really bring a sense of bliss to your existence. It's about your passions. But you crucially have a big collective still in the 4th house as this month begins. And of course, Uranus has been here for 5 months in 2018, and since March 2019, it's been in your 4th house. And Uranus, your modern ruler, can be very restless. So if where you have lived or the immediate space of your accommodation or your emotional relationships have felt choppy or unsettled or tense, it wouldn't be a surprise. But this could also be a month when some solutions start to develop around that particular area. And that's because for the first 10 days of this month, Jupiter, which moved into the sign of Taurus, your 4th house, to join up with Uranus in mid-May, connects with the North Node. This important point suggests that something can come to pass in the early parts of this month which really do bring peace and a more settled vibe to bear for you. So that's something to really be excited about. I also mentioned to you that I would share about your two rulers. So I've already mentioned Uranus. What about Saturn? Well, Saturn continues in your sector of everyday resources, but also your sense of self-worth and your values. And it is going to be going retrograde from the 17th through to the 4th of November. Please don't be alarmed by this, because Saturn goes retrograde for nearly 5 months every single year. But it is in a connection with Jupiter in a very stable and constructive way for the whole of this month. So when Jupiter growth links with Saturn, which can be to do with restraint, in a harmonizing way, they balance each other's excesses out. So I think you could start to feel a lot more stable and secure about your finances. It's been a tough time for many of us. And even if things are more limited, I think you will have started to really make sense of that and find ways that you can squeeze a bit more out of your budget, cut your costs, be a little bit more dexterous in terms of using the resources you do have. And this month, therefore, can be very transformational in a positive way. But also, as this month begins, ironically, Venus is in an opposition with Pluto, which is just in your sign still. Pluto is only going to be in Aquarius for 11 weeks this year. On the 11th, it inverts in its retrograde back into Capricorn. So at the very start of this month, Venus across two signs, initially Cancer, then Leo, and Pluto firstly in Aquarius and then in Capricorn. Venus and Pluto are broadly in opposition within 3 degrees in the first third of this month. What does that mean? Well, I think it brings a greater intensity to all sorts of relationships, but initially perhaps more business relationships. And your ability to lean into what other people need and be very conscious of how you can practically support those needs, whether it is within the company you work for, whether if you have your own business providing services or products to somebody else, or if it is something you want to learn new skills from, this can be quite a productive aspect, because I think it can give you a push. But Venus and Pluto can also bring up issues of desire and motive, so just be conscious of what your motives are. However, that full moon, which occurs on the 4th, is really, really powerful, because it's in the part of your situation to do with your friendships, the collective, and to do with your sociable situation, whereas the sun's in the part of your situation to do with where you can be sunny and outgoing. So I think really you could find that you're a little bit of a victim of your own success. A lot of people may be gravitating towards you, and you may have to manage your time quite astutely because of that. However, with Venus, as I mentioned before, on the 5th of June, moving into the sign of Leo, where it will be for 4 whole months. The retrograde itself lasts for 44 days from the 23rd of July through to the 4th of September, but it emerges from that sector on the 9th of October. But this is a wonderful platform to really get into some very constructive situations with others, particularly with Mars giving the extra thrust. They're actually going to be connecting with one another really beautifully right at the end of the month. Not quite in an exact conjunction, but within 3 degrees, very tight. If you're single, this period of time could prove to be really quite important, to be honest. And also because Mercury moves to join up with the Sun on the 11th in the most playful part of your situation, you're going to go from being quite preoccupied on the more home and family based issues to feeling more gregarious. So that's wonderful support too from Mercury. So I think Venus and Mars being in the sign of Leo does bring real opportunities. What Mars does is help you to set your boundaries. And there is going to be a need to do that, Aquarius, because in the last 10 days of this month, Mars is in quite a big, tense standoff with Uranus, your modern ruler. So maybe around a family matter, if you feel that someone's not giving you enough space, or tending to opine what you should do without giving you enough recognition, that you can perhaps work things out. Certainly with advice is always welcome, but if someone's almost pushing their agenda on you, you're going to resist it towards the end of the month for sure. But at the heart of this month, Saturn does go into its retrograde on the 17th, but we have a new moon in Gemini on the 18th. Ordinarily, this would give you a great opportunity to showcase your talents, your skills, your flair, your artistry, but also the fun side of your nature over the following month. Still set your intentions to do that, but just watch the financial strands that need to feed into anything you're wanting to do. Also, the 5th house, where the new moon is, can be to do with chance, so risk, speculation, and with Neptune applying to that new moon, information that you base any decisions on could prove to be faulty, or perhaps your thinking may be a bit blurry in a way which is unusual for you. So just be conscious of it. On the 21st, however, the Sun moves into the sign of Cancer as we have the summer solstice, ushering in cardinal quadrant 2. And for you, this can be a time over the next 13 weeks when you're keen to get the basics in your life really running very sweetly. You could find yourself wanting to get fitter, be a bit more cautious about what you eat and drink, but it is forging a quincunx with, by that time, Pluto in Capricorn. But I think we should, for simplicity purposes, imagine that Pluto's still right in your sign, just house 1. 1 and 6 means it's difficult to balance what you want as an individual with where you have to show sacrifice and be obligated and provide services to others, house 6. So it may be a little difficult to integrate that at times over the next 3 months. But on the 28th, Mercury moves from the playful Gemini, where of course it's the ruler, so it's domiciled there, into the sign of Cancer, where it can be a bit moody. The 6th house, though, I think it just brings a potential to bring a bit more precision to whatever you're thinking or whatever you're communicating to others. There's a sensational link between the Sun and Jupiter as this month draws to a close. Something to do with a property matter could finally complete in the way that you've really been hoping for. There's also a fine link between the Sun and Saturn. Saturn, you see, can have this dark reputation amongst the astrological community, and for sure it can be a tough influence, but it can also work to our advantage, and where we apply ourselves, we're very disciplined and we put the effort and perspiration in, we can get very satisfying but also very long lasting rewards. So something could come to you at the end of this month that absolutely delights you, particularly with Venus and Mars sparkling so closely together. Your personality power, the way it impacts on others, is going to be elevated in a way that it hasn't for a very long time. This can be good for all sorts of social interactions, mixing and mingling, just having fun, perhaps being drawn to someone in a very magnetic way, but also it could see you forging some very healthy collaborative working relationships too. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Aquarius. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, comment or subscribe.